Okay, it is 2 past, so I will get started. If anyone's sort of joining in late, hopefully, if they've got any immediate questions, they could fill something out in the chat and ask a question there. But today we're going to be focusing on the OpenAI API first of all, and how we can use that to sort of enhance our spreadsheets. But before we get started with that, I want to sort of highlight what an API actually is. And an API, you may have heard this term before, but it stands for Application Programming Interface. And it's basically something that allows us to get data from external sources. And effectively, all this does is allows different applications and to basically share data with each other and communicate. So we're going to be using the OpenAI API today to sort of get the same data that we can get from ChatGPT in a spreadsheet. So what does a ChatGPT API actually do? So it's actually faster responses than the actual ChatGPT website. So if you've got a ChatGPT account and you sometimes type in prompts, as you may have found out last week, the response can sometimes be quite slow. If you use the API, normally you can get that directly within your sort of spreadsheet, or if you're writing some code, you can get it directly within your IDE, and that's a lot faster than it is from directly typing a prompt into ChatGPT. Another useful thing is that we can send multiple prompts at once. In ChatGPT, of course, you can only type in one prompt at a time in the text box, send that over. But with the OpenAI API, you can actually send multiple prompts over at the same time, and you'll get the responses back from them as they come in. And yeah, as we sort of mentioned, we can integrate ChatGPT with other tools. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be using ChatGPT with Google Sheets and sort of making sure we can actually write prompts within Google Sheets itself. So the OpenAI API basically has lots of different capabilities, and we'll sort of get you an introduction into how to actually use it today, at least what some of the capabilities are. So what we're going to do is we're going to first talk about how to get an OpenAI API key. So if you've signed up with a OpenAI ChatGPT account, these all, when you've made your account, they all come with $18 worth of free credits. And this is enough to, in fact, generate 670,000 words. So you get quite a lot of free credits if you create an account. Of course, if you run out, you can sort of top these credits up if you find out that you're using these too much. This is something to note. Make sure you sort of don't get confused. This is slightly different from the actual ChatGPT. This is the ChatGPT Open API key, which is slightly different. But these credits allow us to do this generating of prompts in external programs, like so. So what I want everyone to do is go to the OpenAI website, and it will be here. I think I'll paste a link in the chat for everyone. It will be on this page. You may need to log in, and from here, hopefully, you should have free credits still. If not, you may just make a new account, and you can get free credits from that new account that way. And what you need to do is you need to click this button right here on this page where it says generate a new secret key, and from there you can generate a new API key. So you give it a name and then hit create secret key, and you get a key. So let's say I'll give mine a name. So let's say new key, for example. You create a new secret key, and it will give you a key here. And make sure you copy this key and write it down, because you can't access this again. So maybe save this to like a notepad file or like a Word document or something like that. So copy this and save it and then hit done. And you should see that your new key appears exactly here. You can't find the actual API key here. It's hidden forever. You won't be able to get it. So make sure you do write it down when you're generating. I don't want anyone stealing my key because it's popped up on my screen, so I'm going to revoke this. Because the key thing to remember is these keys you don't want to share with anyone, because if you do share them and they get access to it, they can use up your credits and they can steal all your credits that you've paid for. So make sure you do not share any of these these keys with anyone, otherwise they'll steal your credits. Unless you, of course, give them permission to do, of course. But make sure you get the key and write it down. I'll give everyone maybe just a couple minutes to do that. It might take if you're a little bit confused and want me to maybe go over something again, please let me know. Or just drop a question in the chat. So yeah, I'll just give everyone just a couple minutes just to generate an API key and make sure they've written it down. So go to the website I think I've just pasted in the chat and grab the key from there. Yeah, I'm going to paste the link for the OpenAI API key again in the chat just in case anyone needs it, because I'm sure some people are joining in late. So if you didn't get the link that I sent earlier, just go to that website. You should find something called create a new secret key. Click on that, give that key a name, and then generate that key. Once you get that, you should have a button to sort of copy that key. Make sure you grab that. Make sure you grab that key sort of ID and save it somewhere in like a Word document. Because once you've generated the key, you won't have access to it again. So yeah, I'll give everyone a couple minutes to do that in case you haven't done so already. Again, so I know some people's offices maybe block the OpenAI website, so please feel free to just follow along, and then maybe once you have time when you go home, you can go watch the recording back and follow the instructions as needed. Yeah, so Mitch was asked the question. So API keys are specifically for Sheets or perform multiple functions beyond Sheets. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So they can be used for Sheets and they can be used for multiple things really. So if you're writing, let's say, a Python script that wants to do something specific, and you want to use sort of ChatGPT's functionality within that Python script, you can use the API key within that Python script and write that and use it to perform whatever function you'd like. Yeah, the rest of it is also another question. How many previous classes have been there? Have been there already, and where can I find those recordings? So this is our third class. So there's been two classes already previously. The recordings, I believe, are on the website. If not, I will have an email. I will share the email for where you can contact us. You could drop us a question there if you've got any issues finding the sort of recordings. Otherwise, I think Faz is also available in the chat. I think he might have might be able to shed more light into where the recordings actually are. Yeah. So I think Justine and Abhilash have done this step with getting the OpenAI key, which is brilliant. So Giselle, do I need to see all these classes prior to being there? You don't necessarily need to see every single class. Obviously, the idea is that each lesson builds upon the previous one. So it would be good, but obviously we I guess do a new topic every day. So if you have a sort of idea of how to sort of use sort of LLMs already, some of the more advanced stuff like we're doing today, like you probably don't need the first two lessons, let's say. Okay. Does anyone need more time to get the OpenAI API key? I, I know I've seen some people drop a message in the chat that they've got it, but if anyone needs more time, please feel free to let me know. Otherwise, I'll be moving on. Oh yeah, so is that Estelent? Yeah, not sure where to find the API key, so okay. I will just go over it again 1 second. So just in case you sort of missed the step where I went to find the API key. Cool. So there is this website I will paste in the chat once again. So right here, if you haven't already done so, click create new secret key right here. The key thing to remember with this is that once you do create a new secret key, you can't get the actual key again. So make sure when you rename the key, whatever it may be, so let's just call it my new key, create secret key. Sorry. You'll get an API key like so, copy it, save it somewhere because you won't get access to this key again, hit done, and you should see that the new key, whatever you called it, shows up here. And this is the secret key which you won't get access to again. And that's the key you will use. I will delete this key because I don't want anyone stealing my credits. But that's sort of the idea. If anyone hasn't done it, again, we'll move on. So as we hopefully you should have done it by now. If you didn't manage to get it, feel free to go back and watch the recording. But we will move on now to the actual usage of this key. Okay. So once we've got this key, the main thing we want to do is use this within our spreadsheet and give us some capability of using this within our code. So we're going to use Google Sheets for this. So if you don't already have a Google account, please make one and then visit Google Sheets. So, and then open up a new spreadsheet. So I've already got this here, so I'll make a new file actually. New file, blank spreadsheet. There you go. So I've got a new blank spreadsheet. I would like everyone to sort of do the same in Google Sheets. And then once you've sort of done that, we're going to actually create a script, app script like so. So the key thing to do here, once you've opened up a new spreadsheet in Google, is go to extension and then click on app script right here. And this should hopefully open up a new page where you can type up a script. It might take some time, so I'll give it a moment. Yep. And you should hopefully get to this page here, like so. And it should have something called function, my function here. So just quick recap. I want you guys to all log into your Google accounts, open up a new Google Sheet, click extensions, app script, and then this should open up a page like so, which has something called function, my function in. Okay. If anyone's got any questions or any issues with this, again, feel free to sort of either unmute yourselves, just ask, or drop another question in the chat. Again, I'll give everyone just maybe a couple minutes just to have a go at this. And once you've done, it's a good indication just to know when I can move on is just maybe even drop a message in the chat once you're done. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, so Jill, Griffin, Angela, Lucy, Megan, Alfred, Gail, Frida, yeah, loads of people saying they're done. Yeah, I'll just give anyone that doesn't have any sort of, just anyone's not having any money issues just to have a go. Does it have to be in a Google Sheet? Yeah, Monica, at the moment, based off what we're doing, because we're going to add some actual code into this Google Sheet, yes, it does. Because we're going to be adding some JavaScript code into this Google Sheet itself, so we can actually use the API. There is a way to do it in Excel, in fact. It's a little bit more complicated. Just for the simplicity, we're just going to use Google Sheets. So ideally use Google Sheets if you can. Yeah. I've sort of mentioned we're going to be writing some JavaScript code. Don't worry if you've never done any JavaScript before. Don't need to know any JavaScript. We're just going to be copy and pasting some code and just utilizing that. So don't worry too much about writing JavaScript code. Yeah, so Balani, so to create a secret key, it's asking for your phone number. Is this correct? Yeah, that is correct. The reason they ask for a phone number is just so once you sort of make an account, they don't want you to sort of give free credits as like after you make a new account every single time. So if you've got one phone number associated with the account, that's so you can get the sort of credits. Otherwise, you could just be making a new account and getting $18 worth of free credits every single time, and that would be quite expensive for open APIs. So yeah, Justine, my sheet is open. Should it be separate from the API, or should it look integrated somehow? Yeah, it should be separate from the API. This We're sort of going to integrate them at the moment. So at the moment in your Google Sheets, all you should have done is just have this page open with apps, should have app scripts, probably whatever the name of the project you called it, and something called function, my function here. Yeah, same thing for Ruth, I think. Renika's also mentioned that. Okay. Seems like most people have got to this point and they've managed to get the app script open. So what we need to do in the app script is go to this link, which I will paste in the chat. And this is just this has some sort of JavaScript code in that we're going to need to copy. So I'll just copy all of this. Make sure you get this sort of closing curly bracket at the bottom, otherwise it will cause some issues. But make sure you copy all of that and paste that within your chat well on AppScript project. And over here, where you've got your sort of API key, what you want to do is take your API key out. So it should be line 37. I mean, hopefully if you paste it correct. Add some sort of quotation marks and paste your API key in here, whatever it may be. I'm not going to paste my API key in here just so people don't steal mine. But whatever your API key is, just go to line 37 once you pasted this code and write that in there. Again, I will give everyone just a couple of minutes just to do that. So once again, just repeat it for anyone that sort of missed it. Go to the GitHub page I've pasted in the chat, copy all this code, paste it into the AppScript page that we've just made. Go to about line 37 or wherever that page may be, where it says var API key. Remove, it says your API key goes here. Replace that with quotation marks and paste your API key in whatever it may be. So it'll be just a random arrangement of letters and numbers. Yeah, Villani, if you can't get access to keys, don't worry too much. Maybe just follow along for the moment to see what we can actually do with it, and maybe have a go later once we sort of get access to the recording. Okay, I'll give everyone just a couple minutes. If you've managed to get to this far, again, a message in the chat doesn't go amiss, just so that I know people are following. Yeah, that's got it. Brilliant. Yeah, Ramon Rodriguez. Yes, does the key include the SK portion? Yes, it does. Yes. Yeah, Frida. Yeah, no problem. I will repeat the step once again. So what we need to do is hopefully I'll go from the very top actually. So on your Google Sheets, hopefully, first thing you need to do is open up a new Google Sheet, click on extensions, then click on app script. Your app script will open a page that looks something like this, where you can add some code in right here. In this page where you need to add in code, you need to go to the GitHub link that I sent, which has some JavaScript code in. Copy all of this, copy that, paste that into the app script page that we just had. Then locate on line 37 where we've got var API key and it says your API key here. Replace this with quotation marks, and then in between the quotation marks, type in your API key, whatever that may be. So it probably starts with SK and then some random series of letters and numbers. But yeah, I'm not posting my API key in just so I don't want anyone stealing it. But yeah, yeah, yeah. I've seen a lot of people getting it done. Yeah, Angela's got it done. Yeah, brilliant. Janet's still trying to get to Google Sheets. Okay, so maybe just Janet, just a couple. Yeah, so Mateus, single or double quotation marks doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter at all. Either one works. yeah, just give everyone just maybe just another minute or so, just in case they've got any issues. Yeah, Bruce got it. Monica's got it. Brilliant. Again, just maybe another 30 seconds just for anyone that's having any issues. Yeah, Rudy's got it. Brilliant. Yeah, Amy's got it as well. Brilliant. Okay, I think what we'll do is we'll move on to the next step. I think most people have got something along those lines. Okay, and if they're having any issues, of course, you can go back and watch the recording. Okay, so yeah, we've done this part. Now, the next thing to do is deploy the script. So in the top right corner of the app script page, you will see a deploy in this page. And once you click on deploy, you open up this page. You will need to add a description and then click on deploy. It might ask you to sign into Google again just to make sure the script can run. So just for demonstration purposes, I'll show you how to do this. You have your key, you have your page like so. Let me just restart sharing because it doesn't want to. There you go. Yeah, so again, make sure your API key is exactly as you sort of made it within the first section. If you hit deploy, click on new deployment. If you click this gear icon, which says select type, make sure you select web app, provide a description, whatever it may be. So I'm just going to put test, and then just click on deploy. And it will take some time to update the deployment. So just give it a moment. Yep, and it will require you to authorize access. So if you click authorize access, it will prompt you to log in again. I mean, it says Google hasn't verified this app. Don't worry too much. If you click advanced, click go to untitled project, which isn't too bad. Just click on allow, and it will update its deployment. And yeah, and it should get this page to signify that it's done once you've got it. Okay, so yeah, just a quick recap of just how to do this. For any, I know, see, yeah, so new deployment. Click select type, make sure you select web app, description, click deploy. It'll prompt you to probably reauthorize again, so make sure you reauthorize yourself. But you should get a confirmation screen once everything is deployed properly. And in fact, within your spreadsheet, you should see, if you refresh the page, hopefully, there is now a sort of new selection at the top, which says ChatGPT, which should signify that you've done everything correctly. Yeah, yeah. Give everyone just a few minutes just to have a go at this. If there's any problems, then you can drop a question in the chat. As it error, it doesn't like your key. Maybe try regenerating a key, potentially. You can regenerate your key if you need. So just go to the key page again, create a new secret key, regenerate it. Also, another thing to just to mention, in case your key isn't working properly, is make sure you have quotation marks around your key. And make sure there's no spaces. Yeah, I think Ramon's also mentioned, yeah, which is correct. So yeah, make sure there's no spaces. So make sure there's quotation marks first of all, and no spaces. Yeah, so Monica, if it says Google hasn't verified this app, just scroll down. It should just say there should be an option to just continue straight ahead. Yeah, Ramon, make sure you do use quotation. It might work with quotations, but you may run into errors later, so just be careful. Okay, wait. If I change deployment, okay. So yeah, so you're getting errors. It might be blocked by your workplace. Yeah, potentially. Yeah, again, maybe try and have a look at it at home if that's a possibility. But yeah, if there's if this is getting blocked by your workplace, unfortunately, there's not much we can do. But just try and follow along anyway, and maybe you can have a go at it at home. Yeah, to know if it says done, yeah, we'll move on to the next step. Um, It does, yeah. So it says the app is blocked. The app tried to access sensitive info on your Google account to keep your account safe. Google blocked access. Um, it's not a worry because the issue is sometimes with JavaScript code, you can do malicious things with it, but this code here is perfectly fine. Um, so you might just need to click advanced options and just hit continue if that's also an issue. Griffin, how do you get to the spreadsheet? The spreadsheet so hopefully should be in your Google Drive. So if you go to your Google Drive it will be here. Or if you go back to Google Sheets, it will be somewhere in your spreadsheet. So it should be the last spreadsheet you've created, hopefully. So Angela, you're getting an error for line 70 to join this conversation on GitHub. I already have an account. Sign in to comment. Um, with line 70, can you just make sure that the code is exactly as you copied? So make sure you haven't accidentally missed this curly bracket at the end and you've copied the code exactly as it is. Make sure you didn't accidentally copy like this part here. Yeah, Les, just make sure if ChatGPT doesn't show up, just make sure you refresh your page. Sometimes you might need to refresh it just to make sure it shows up. Okay, I think people are still having issues, but we haven't got too long left in the session, so I will just move on to the next thing. If anyone's got any questions, there'll be like 10 minutes at the end for just some question time, so don't worry about it too much if you're having any issues. But yeah, so we've got hopefully if you haven't already done so, but the step we're moving on for is when we've got sort of the script loading up in our Google Sheet here. Okay, so we'll move on very quickly. Yeah, Farida, can you just refresh your page on Google Sheets and hopefully it will show up. Yeah. So yeah, yeah, we've gone through this, just mentioning the API key. There is another method which I'm just going to skip over, but it does have its benefits. Okay, now that we've sort of got this, we can actually make the prompts that we would on ChatGPT within the Google Sheet ourselves. So hopefully, if I've done everything correctly, otherwise I had an example that I've done it earlier. So all that we need to do is we need to have, let's say, two cells, one with prompt and one with response, and we can enter a prompt in the first column. And if we call the function that we had with equals chat, it should give us a response, hopefully. So there is a spreadsheet that I made earlier, which I will try and find sorry, if you give me a moment. Because I didn't put my actual API key in the original script. But hopefully, yeah. So this is just a sort of script I sort of made earlier because I don't want to leak my API key. So yeah, so I had something like this. So I had a prompt response. I had a prompt like this. And in this section, I typed in chat equals A2. It's going to take some time to load, hopefully, but hopefully we should get a response if I've done everything correctly. Okay, Google's deciding to take its time. But yeah, in the meantime, while this is trying to load itself, I would like everyone to maybe try this yourselves. You type in chat if you see the ChatGPT function there, you type in your prompt here, whatever that may be. So I've just implemented a prompt that says what's some holiday destinations. And if you call the function, so if I write another prompt is list some electric car models, let's say electric car models. And then if you type in equals chat and the cell that your prompt is in, so this prompt is in cell A3, close the brackets, and it will send the prompt off to the OpenAI API. It's still loading because I think my internet's being quite slow. But hopefully we should get a prompt as a response here if you've done everything correctly. Yeah, Tinar's yours generated, which is yeah, great. Yeah, unfortunately mine decide is oh there we go. Finally got something. There we go. There we go. So we can see, yeah, there we go. Hey, so I've got response. This is exactly like the response we would get from if we would type something into ChatGPT ourselves. So if we typed a similar response, we should get something like that from ChatGPT, hopefully. Yeah. So yeah, we've got some, so we get some responses from ChatGPT, but instead of typing that response into ChatGPT, we get our response directly within our spreadsheet, like so. Is anyone sort of confused about this? I know I've sort of run over this quite quickly. And Andrew, you apparently you've exceeded your quota. I think you might have run out of credits potentially, or if you created an account a long time ago, sometimes your credits may have expired. So you may need to add top up credits or something similar. But yeah, unfortunately, there's not much you can do. But hopefully, for those of you that have managed to generate something, you should see these generations within your cells. Okay, anyone got any immediate questions? Okay, I think yeah, most of them have been answered. Yeah, just a quick recap. If you've done everything correctly to this point, you should be able to just call the sort of chat function within your Google Sheet. So again, you can type a prompt in and then type in equals chat with in all caps, and then call the function that your cell is or your prompt is in. So this, if I typed a prompt in A4, type it in, and it would hopefully just run. I mean, this is not going to do anything because there's nothing, there's no prompt in. Okay. Okay. So final thoughts. So just a quick mention. So if I was to go here, so you may notice within the code, and something that we went over last week is, of course, when we're prompting, we can actually give some context and we can give some sort of way that we want ChatGPT to respond to us. So by default, I think there is a sort of also some context already provided for us. So it says you're an experienced content creator with high levels of expertise and authority as a content writer, and so on. So it has some information already in the sort of app script by default. So I'll go back. So already within the app script by default. So if you go back to the app script, this loads hopefully, there will be some code here. So I'm going to get rid of, I would provoke this key later, so it doesn't really matter too much. So it says, yeah, so you can actually edit this sort of context yourself. So if you want ChatGPT and the response to be sort of given back to you in a certain way, you can edit this. So at the moment, the responses are as if you're an experienced content creator, as if ChatGPT was an experienced content creator. But if you want to customize this in any way, you can edit this and get the responses back in however way you want. Okay. So Gail, so it says how do you know how many credits? I think Malika's already answered that. So yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so that's basically everything we wanted to cover. Sorry, it's been a little bit rushed. I know there's been a bit of issues with getting people with API keys and whatever. But again, just quick recap. The idea was to hopefully allow you to put a prompt into a Google Sheet, and then by using OpenAPI's API, you can get a response back in it directly within your Google Sheet instead of trying to use ChatGPT itself and typing it in that way. Okay, so that sort of wraps up for me. So just a few reminders. I think we sort of touched upon this last week as well. There is the generative AI community. I will get Faz or Malika to put a link in the chat. So you're welcome to either ask questions in here. I would recommend you to go ask questions in here because I think we'll be monitoring this. And if you've got any questions, we'll be ready to answer. Alternatively, you can drop us an email at hello@codingwithcodex.co.uk and we will be happy to answer any questions over there. Okay. Again, we'll provide some. It would be grateful if you could provide some feedback on Feedback Lab, so you can download the apps either in the App Store or Google Play. It is the exact same email that you need to log in with as is with your Perks at Works account. So if you would log in with that, verify your email, and you can add this code NXGA Academy, so Next Jump Academy, create a password, and then you can provide some feedback for our sessions. Yeah, I'll go back to the first page. Just in case anyone came in late and hasn't checked in, please make sure you do check in. And I would leave this up. But that sort of wraps up the session for today. Has anyone got any immediate questions that want me to answer? Feel free to sort of unmute yourself and ask a question.
Hey,
But
this is Malika. I wanted to relay a quick question from the chat that I think was skipped over.
yeah,
So
go ahead.
someone asked if this exercise is replicable with Bard.
I don't believe so. I don't believe Google really have their own API key. I might be wrong, but I don't believe Google have their own API.
I see.
Correct. If anyone
So
knows,
long as
please
you
correct me
get
if
an
I'm wrong.
API key, you can kind of replicate this. Is that kind of the case?
Yeah, so there are sort of other LLMs models. So there's like Llama, which is developed by Meta or Facebook, and they have API keys which you can use. So if you know how to, there's some intricacies with that which are not which we didn't sort of cover in today's session, but it's something similar you can do. So there is something called Llama. If you want to have a research of that, you can look at how to use Llama's API to do something similar. In fact.
Cool.
Any other questions? Yeah, Amy. So when will this posted in Get Your Own? I want to repeat the exercise on my personal computer. Yeah. So I think Faz has also mentioned if you check in, you should get an email with the recording as well. But I think Faz is in the chat and can correct me if I'm wrong with that. All right. Any other questions or any other discussion points that people want
Thanks.
answered?
So this was very interesting. I have one question. So one of the things with the ChatGPT is that you can kind of ask follow-up questions, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you submit multiple queries, does the API or like the chatbot, let's say, take these as successive queries that also like already you know what I mean, that kind of like
Yeah. And I get what you mean. Yeah.
the first question, or like when you submit another set of follow-on queries, does it kind of take them in the same order? You know, how can you keep these threads separate?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. Yeah. So like in the example that I sort of went over here, obviously I put two queries in at the same time. These two are independent of each other, so it's as if you'd sort of open up a new chat and ask a question. You can actually write consecutive queries like you would. Let's say you wanted to ask a follow-up question here. So let's say let's say I like you could ask a follow-up question. So let's say I only want destinations in Europe. So obviously in ChatGPT you can do something like this. And it will give you a regenerated prompt. You can do that in this situation, but it will require you to sort of edit this code a little bit more. So and obviously requires a little bit more technical expertise, of course. But yeah, but it is possible. It requires technical expertise just to edit the code and set up how to like redo prompts.
Okay, great, thanks.
Hopefully that made sense. Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Any further questions? Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, again, yeah, I don't think there's any further questions. Again, if you do have any questions that maybe pop up during the week, or maybe once you're watching the recording back, feel free to drop us an email here at hello@codingwithcodex. Otherwise, you can go to the with Codec's generative AI community. I'll get Faz or Malika to paste a link to that specific page in the chat. Yeah, you can also ask a question in there. But aside from that, that is all we had planned for today. So thank you guys for coming. I hope you sort of learned something new. Also, if anyone had any sort of specific issues with sort of their implementation or anything like that, feel free to stay behind. I'm happy to sort of like help you sort of iron out any sort of issues, specific issues to your specific programs. But that is all it for today. Thank you all for coming. I hope you sort of learned something new, and hopefully I'll see you guys next week.